Greetings, Mark Garang here, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun. And today my guest is Bill Conlin, who's running for Congress, 1st District, as a Democrat. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, so we want to hear about you. I just want to set it up a little bit. And the 1st Congressional District is now held by Chris Pappas, as we know,
correct.
and he's running for Senate. So it's wide open on both sides.
Exactly.
And for the Democrats, you got Stephanie Shaheen, you got Maura Sullivan, you got Sarah Chudzinski, Christian Urrutia, Carly Bariant, Heath Howard, and you.
Yes.
So
it's a crowded field. It's not as crowded as it was last time, but apparently, like it's a crowded field. So
well, a couple more you could,
field the baseball team. There you go.
Are you a Red Sox fan at all?
Yeah, I think everybody in New England is a Red Sox fan.
Well,
right?
then I think if you got 2 more, you'd probably do better than the Red
Yeah,
Sox.
well, we'll see. You know, they started off slow last time, and they did well at the end. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's another story.
Right.
Being a Yankees fan.
Okay.
It ain't gonna happen.
All right,
I'll tell you.
okay.
All right. So, Bill, I know you were a congressman. You were a state rep.
State rep, yes, for 2 years.
One term, two terms. One term.
Just one term.
Okay. So tell us about yourself and where you're from.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Bill Conlin. I'm a Democrat from Dover, and yeah, I'm running for New Hampshire District 1. The campaign that I'm trying to run here is one in which I am not accepting any funding whatsoever. I am doing this all on my own nuts, so to speak. I'm a blue-collar worker. I work in a factory. I don't have a ton of money, but I wanted to show people, because I've been doing campaigns for little over 10 years now, helping out with all of them, and really sort of seeing what works in campaigns and what doesn't. And what I found really is the things that money buy don't really have a lot of influence in terms of how voters vote. Mostly people vote depending on their influence by the candidate, us sitting here one-on-one, or me sitting in a room with other people, and then those people take that information, or they watch this and they take that information, and then they go forth and they talk to other people, get them on board, and that's really where all of the votes come from. However, what you see is a lot of time spent on trying to get that money and because there's so much demand for that sort of the donor class, that we wind up seeing our representatives and our elected officials have to take into consideration what the donors want as opposed to what the voters want. And I feel it should really be one person, one vote. We're at a point in our society right now where a lot of people feel like they don't matter. They feel like they have no opportunity to get their government to respond to their needs and their concerns. And so I wanted to go out and sort of show them, listen, you don't have to continue doing this. You can raise the standard in our society and say to people, listen, if you think you're so clever that you can run our society for us, shouldn't you be clever enough to run a campaign in which you're not taking any money and have that be successful? I'm just trying to set the stage or start something with this and get people interested in talking about it. Whether I'm successful or not in this campaign, I don't know, but I think that that's a better way going forward, because most of our problems are balance of power problems, where too few have power, too many are powerless, and one person, one vote really sort of creates an equality of power, and we get our elected officials thinking about the voter again rather than the donor.
What do you do for a living?
I am a blue-collar worker. I work on a factory floor. I don't bring them into it. They know I'm running, and they just said, please.
Is this in Dover you work?
Yeah, it's in southern New Hampshire, near Dover.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. It's not anything secretive or weird. It's just that politics being what they are now, somebody might have an issue with me, and then all of a sudden they're in the news, and they're like, we don't want any of that, so I just leave them.
I mean, there is a model for that. I mean, one thing is that it's just really tough. I mean, that's, what you're saying is democracy at its purest.
Right.
But it's tough when you're against a Shaheen.
Oh, it is.
And you know that. People don't pay attention to votes, both sides, and they go in and say, oh, Shaheen, Sununu, good.
I would agree with that, but honestly, I think that, and a lot of people will say, oh, that's what, I just don't think that people who take the time to go and vote are just there to well, I have to vote, so I have to pick someone. I think people really have an idea of who they're planning on picking. Sure, the name might help a little bit. My understanding of how that sort of works is people will have that sort of attitude. They might say, I like this candidate, but this person has name recognition, and I think name recognition means something in politics, so I'll lean towards that. It's a lot of the reason why a lot of people in our party right now are like, can't we have something like can't we have ranked choice voting?
I was going to ask about that.
Because then I can vote for you, and then because I have this slight fear that it might be something other than just the people that are the power, that maybe it is the money, maybe it is the name recognition, they can go second on that list.
Do you, so you support ranked choice?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I do as a primary. So in the primaries, let's put it that way. I think in the general election, I think it's all a wash. Ultimately, you wind up going to Congress or you wind up going to anywhere. You have to get into two different caucuses. So you're really coming down to just two choices. Right. You're either for it or against it.
And so the ranked choice, just so people review, is that, I mean, one thing what the ranked choice does is that, and what the critics say, you get two votes.
Right.
That if you vote for you, let's say, and then the top person doesn't get 50%, right, the vote goes up.
Then it changes.
So,
right.
You know, when you're saying, and a lot of people say, which is totally legitimate, is that I'm not going to waste my vote on Bill. Ain't going to win.
Right.
But on ranked choice, it could happen.
I get an opportunity to pick my favorite, and then I can play the strategy game, whatever you think the strategy game is. But I'm also out here trying to get people to understand that even without it, it is your choice. You do have 100% of the power you need to sort of change your world. You have control over that. You can set a standard where you can start saying to people, listen, the money is a factor. We know that it's working against us. We're tired of, having to compete with the donor class and another party. Can't we just get you to try and do this and show us that, you're really in it for the empowerment of all and not just the empowerment of yourself? And I think that if you started demanding more out of your politicians, more politicians would do this. And I honestly believe that if we take one seat, you're going to see across the country, other people are going to say, well, if they can do it there, can't we do it here? Because most people, including people on the other side, I work with a lot of people and, MAGA people in blue-collar work, they say the same thing. It's that money in politics that's keeping us from getting the things that we need to live happy lives. So I think it's a very popular thing. It's just a question of whether we can show it can be
How do you
done.
get the magic? I mean, you remind me of like Plattner over in Maine, right?
Right.
I mean, he's the working class guy, he's the lobsterman, or whatever he is, oyster guy.
Right.
And, but he's caught fire.
Right.
That's the, one of the
that
tickets for anybody is how do you catch fire?
It is how do you get that lightning in the bottle? And honestly, I don't know. But I go out and I talk to people, and I will talk to anyone who invites me, like you invited me, I'm here. I will come out and talk to anyone, and what I'm finding really when I go out is people are really excited about this. Again, they're nervous, like we were saying before, because there's names, and they're not sure it can be done. But everybody's on the edge of the pool just waiting for someone to jump in. And I think that if I can get through to enough people, and sooner or later people go, okay, maybe this can happen, I think you'll see people jumping in the pool and just being like, yes, let's go with this. We have to change something in our society. This is change to our society.
We're going to get to the issues the next question, but why Congress and why not? I mean, if you're a state rep, there's a lot of, you can go up the ladder in the state level.
Yes, you could.
So why did you go for
Well, let's put it this way. I won my election as a state rep running against no one in the primary and no one against the general. It's a lot easier in terms of like, I could have said like, yeah, I'm not taking any money, but what difference does it make? It's not really a competition. This is something where there's a lot more money. Whereas you're a state rep, sure, somebody might donate, you might donate, I think my total campaign haul was like $800 or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. But something like this is really where people think, okay, we need hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so that donor really has more power when it comes to later on who gets to talk to their representative, whether it's the donor or the voter. And so something like this, which is big, gets a little more national attention. And it also, it really sort of reinforces that, man, if you can do it in one district, you should be able to do it in 436 or however many there are.
I mean, do you have a website?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Because I looked at
Bill Conlin 4.us.
Okay, because I searched this morning and I actually couldn't find one.
Right, and that I have no idea why that is, but like,
I even asked chat.
it is there. It is there.
Okay,
So
say
yeah,
it
I'll
again.
give you.
Say it again.
It's Bill Conlin, the number 4, and then .us.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's that. So what do you think again, we'll get to the issues, but I mean, what do you think the role of a congressperson? I mean, if you're a senator, U.S. senator, you're kind of like up there, and
Right.
you're in the think tanks and you're traveling Iran and all that.
Right.
Congressperson is not. I mean, you're a combination of federal stuff and local and state issues. So what do you think? What is the role of a congressperson?
The role of a congressperson is to represent the people in the district and try and do as much for them as possible, and always keep in mind that this is, that's basically what your responsibility is. As far as what I would like to do with the position, it's I would like to go there and also try and build on this. If I'm capable of getting to Congress, I think that I have a message that will allow me to build some sort of movement, get more people behind me, because at the end of the day, that's how Washington really works. It doesn't work because like the secret passwords or all of the tricks. It works because people understand that people are the power. Our president is a great example of this. He's in Washington. He doesn't know the nuances or the subtleties of power. He just has a big group behind him, and his entire party heals because of that. HEELS. And so what I would like to try and do is create that movement so that people will listen to me in Congress, because they'll see there are people behind this and we can start changing things.
Okay, so again, I'm going to put that aside, but what about constituent service? I guess what I was getting at is that Congress people spend a lot of time, answering phone calls about Social Security problems and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, there is an entire staff for that. I mean, I understand that that's how the offices do work. I have a friend of mine that does that for a living. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. If you have an issue with Social Security, if you have an issue with your VA, you contact your congressman. That's what everyone has that's what I've done in the past. You contact them, and then they understand how everything works in terms of like who they need to talk to in what department, whether it's the VA, whether it's Social Security, and use that position for that. I've done that at the state level where I've had people that have had problems.
Can you picture yourself coming up here? And the reason I say that to North Country here,
Right.
Because Chris Pappas, he's everywhere.
Right.
Carol Shea Porter, back in the day, she would come here, we'd interview her, and see her in 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
how do I see it? Yeah, I mean, like, again, should this come to fruition and I be elected, well, obviously I'm not going to be spending any of my time going out and trying to shake down rich old ladies like I'm in, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I don't need the money. I have time for my constituents. So when I am home, yes, I have time to do this. I would say the same thing. I mean, I rarely see any of these people, and I'm involved in politics a lot, and I rarely see any of them showing up to Dover or around the area. So,
how do you account for, and you're in the state legislature, how do you account for that? It's dominated, obviously the State House, state reps, and House, and the Senate, Executive Council,
right.
The governor, of course, all Republicans.
Right. I don't know. I've lived here for pretty much all of my life. I was born and raised in Nashua, and I've never quite understood the idea behind, okay, we're going to send Democrats to Washington because I guess we think that it's better for them. I hope they think it's better for them to be in Washington. But at home, no, these are the reasonable Republicans. These are the old rock rib Republicans, Rockefeller Republicans. They're sensible. And I don't see that, and a lot of my fellow Democrats when I was in the House didn't see that, and I spent a lot of my time racing to get to Concord, leaving work early to get there to beat some sort of crazy bill that was going to affect maybe 2 or 3 people in the entire state, but is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering to them. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why we do that. I think we haven't done a good job of getting our message across to the people in the state of New Hampshire. Maybe we're focused too much on they're crazy and not enough on here's what we're trying to do. I don't know.
Now the AI just signed a bill about increasing the DWI automatic if you refuse a breathalyzer.
Okay, yep.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No inspections, car inspections. I think that's pretty good. That's a debate, but
it's
I think
fine. It's fine. But a friend of mine at work pointed out. He goes, "You're just going to see a lot more cars on the side of the road."
Oh no, that's true.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably."
But it's such
right.
and I don't mind the car. I mean, not we're debating that, but I don't mind the car safety inspections. It's the emission stuff. I think that is so regressive because all these everybody, my pickup truck, engine check light. I get inspected, and they screw around with it. I go back next year.
Right.
It's on, that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I guess I'm pointing out things that I think the Republican-dominated legislature has done well. They've loosened up some housing things. What's the worst things the New Hampshire House has done?
As far as what they've passed, it's mostly a lot of social stuff. It's I mean, a lot of bills that were designed to sort of take away or go after like trans teens or gay teens, taking money away from like school lunch programs and things like that. It's a lot of really more social stuff than yes, those are nice that you don't have to do your state inspection, and that's popular among the other people. But yeah, there's a lot of kicking down on very small communities because they have, let's say, an evangelical base that pushes for these things as far away as Alabama and eventually winds up in New Hampshire.
We got the Free Staters.
Where we have no need for that. And the Free Staters are another issue altogether. Sometimes they're very good on the social issues, but yeah, when it comes to taxes and things like that, or any sort of regulations whatsoever, they just feel like, no, we should just be allowed to do whatever we want and we'll take care of the problems, and that will probably lead to problems as well, because I don't see where, the thing that they don't understand is pretty much all laws are reactive rather than proactive. It always winds up, we had a problem, that's why we had to pass the law, then they repeal the law and that problem comes back, and like the bears out west, and you're like, yeah, that's why we had that law.
By the what?
The bears out there, and I forget where is it, Swansea or something like that. They had a libertarians take over the town council, and they ended trash pickup and said just throw it in your backyard, and then suddenly the bears started showing up and feeding on.
No, we're pretty good at taking up our feeders in.
But like the reason that they said you have to throw your trash away or put it in these containers originally is because they were like, we don't want bears in town, but they got rid of the rule, and the bears showed up.
Yeah, well, they're smart. So. What do you think about that 3-3 tax proposal?
Honestly, I'm not familiar with the 3-3
Okay,
tax
so that's
proposal.
where this floating, because everybody, including the Democrats, are against statewide taxes, right?
Okay.
I mean, and this 3-3 thing is, it's 3%. It's a 3% income tax over $100,000 household income.
Okay.
And about half the people in the state fit that. So half the people wouldn't have to pay taxes. And then it's 3%. I can't remember exactly, 3% of something for every house that's over $250,000.
Okay.
So it basically targets the middle upper class. And,
right.
So the downside is, that of course the reason that you don't want state income taxes is that you're always going to spend more money. It's easy to ratchet it up. But I guess I'm asking as a question, and if you're not that familiar with it, I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, it's fine.
But this actually makes a little bit of sense. Because the property taxes are so debilitating for so many people who don't have a whole lot of money.
Okay, yeah. In terms of like taxation, yes, I'm in favor of income tax. A progressive income tax is far fairer. Like regressive tax are things like what we're doing right now. A sales tax, I would say, is a regressive tax because it's punishing the poor rather than the wealthy. The way that we're doing it right now with property tax, I feel is exactly the same way. So yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of anything that's more progressive, because in money, with money, like any sort of commodity, the more that you have of it, the less each individual increment of it means to you. So when you're talking about somebody that's getting by on $20,000 a year, that tax on, let's say, that Big Mac hurts them a lot more than somebody who's making $100,000 a year. That's what I mean by it being regressive. You want it to be more of a progressive tax. I feel that that's probably a more progressive tax situation, so I would be in favor of it, but I don't know the specifics on it or the details.
Okay, let's go to the national issues. What are your priorities for the national issues?
Priorities for national issues are Medicare for all. I'm a big believer of that. I would like to see us finally fund universal school lunch programs. I think it's a travesty that we have a law that essentially says that you have to turn your child over to us, the state, for 8 hours a day for education. But at that same time, we are going to allow some of them, because of a broken means testing program, to basically be hungry all day at school. And these are kids as young as 5 or 6 years old. And we should have it so that it's available for everyone. You shouldn't be in a situation where you're both too rich for free lunch but too poor to eat. And it doesn't seem like it costs that much, because Massachusetts does that. I believe Maine is doing that right now. I don't think that New Hampshire has to do it the state. They should, but I think nationally we should be doing that. That should be part of the education program, is that yes, there is food there for you should you need it.
What do you think about public education in general? And I'm sure you're against the voucher program in New Hampshire, and I am too personally, because I don't want my tax money going to a private school.
Right.
But on the other hand, when people complain about it, I say, yeah, but the reason why charter schools are so popular, homeschooling is so popular, is because there's a general sense that public education is failing.
Right.
So
yes,
how do you divide that up between what's wrong or right with the public education system and
honestly,
what's happening?
I think that there should be some level of school choice, but I think it should be done in the way that, through the public schools, or you have magnet schools like they have down in Massachusetts and things like that. Okay, so your kids, in town here, having problems in that school, let's say, for example, there's bullying or whatnot, they should be allowed to go to the next school the town over if you can get them to that school, or if there is some way available to get them to that. Yeah, we should be doing things like that. You should have that sort of choice. Schools should understand, yeah, sometimes we're going to have to take some in, and sometimes someone's going to have to take some of ours in. But I'm a big fan of just keeping that money for the public education and only the public education.
What about general reforms of public education? I mean, they generally pay way more for health insurance than private.
Yeah.
The unions are always an issue. It's not competitive pay. Are you a union? Are you part of a union?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
So, those are structural issues that people talk about that have led, sort of like the unions in the 80s, the unions with steel industry and all that. Eventually they kill a goose.
Sure.
Including the newspaper industry.
In terms of that, I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of people who are in those unions. They're not making money hand over fist. They're barely getting by. I know that there are costs. Obviously, we're trying to provide people with health care. Every job is trying to provide people with health care.
Right.
That's my job, tries to provide me with health care. All of those things, those things are going to be costs. Those are things that society has to deal with. In order to have a better society, we have to have education. We have to train the next generation to be there to solve the problems of the future type of stuff. So in terms of how do we do it on the cheap, I don't have any idea. I don't think we can. I think it's just one of those things. You're going to have to look and you say to a middle class person, we need more money out of you and you don't have any. You're going to have to look up the tree. You're going to have to go after people that actually have money.
All right. What other national issues you're interested in?
Housing. I think we have a huge problem in housing in our society. There's something to the effect of 72,000 people who are, if not homeless, but have housing insecurity in Los Angeles County alone. And I think that when you look at something like housing, housing is a market, is not a free market, is what I would call a forced market. You really can't afford to walk away from that market. You have to have a roof over your head. You have to have shelter. And what we do, like in schooling, where we have this requirement for you to be in school, so it is a forced market. We don't just send you out to the private market and you have to pay whatever they demand. We set up public schools, so you have that option. We should have a public option for housing.
How does that work? I mean, a public option. I mean, that
we have public housing the way that they have it over in Europe. There's people who, whoever wants public housing can apply for public housing. And so now you're creating, rather than creating slums, rather than creating warehousing for the poor, you're creating actual communities which people of all socioeconomic levels are living in. It takes out the means testing. Once you take out the means testing, then people feel like it's worth keeping and worth keeping up. That's what we do with public schools. That's what we do with Social Security and Medicaid. Those things are considered for everyone, and so when there's any cuts coming to them, people get up in arms on it. Like with the schooling, we need to do a better job of schooling. These are our schools. This would be our housing, and that's how you maintain it.
That's all good. And that's all good.
It.
Of course,
yes.
The big question with that, I always ask every Democrat, is that who wants Medicare for all and housing and blah, blah,
right.
blah. Who pays for it? How does that work? I mean, the deficit has, under Trump, 6 years, and Biden 4 years, has gone
yes.
from 20 to 40 trillion.
You're right, and we're going to have to raise taxes. It's as simple as that. You're going to have to balance that off. There's a huge advantage for running surpluses as opposed to deficits, and in our society, and this is what we're learning right now with these prices and the inflation. The inflation actually comes from the deficit, because what you're doing is you're putting more money into the economy, means that every dollar that you have in your pocket is worth less than it was before. That's what causes the inflation. That's modern monetary theory is what governs that. Now, if you look at back in the 90s when we were running surpluses, at the end of the Clinton administration. We were paying less than $1 for a gallon of gas. The money we had in our pocket was more valuable because there was less of it in circulation. So we go out, we do a budget. That budget puts all that money into circulation. It's on tax day that we take back what we need to take back from that. If we're balanced, we take back that exact same amount, or we do a surplus, or what we've been doing is deficit, so we're leaving too much money out there. And obviously, the advantage has all been it's going to the top rather than to the rest. And so people are hurting. This solves that problem. This takes care of that deficit, that gets us the money, and it makes the money in your pocket more valuable, and you can afford more things.
Believe it or not, we only have a couple of minutes to go.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the, the president's poll numbers are underwater. It's like 38%.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But the Democrats, in general, are even further underwater. I mean, how do you explain that? Like, in general, what's up with the Democrats? Why aren't they seen a little more favorable with voters?
I have no idea what I'm trying to do.
That's why you're here,
okay,
right?
So there was, yes, I'm going to save it all myself.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
No, this summer, I don't know what week and what polling situation, but the poll said that more Americans, or a greater percentage of Americans, find the Democratic Party corrupt than find the President of the United States corrupt, which is insane. But I kind of get it, because I'm out here doing this on no money, and my phone pings every day with somebody running somewhere saying, give me another $25, give me another $25, like they're my kid at college. We've got to stop with the money. Everything is money. And I think that's why people don't trust us. I don't think it's the policy issues. I just think they're like, all you guys want is money. Your money, money, money. So I'm trying to change that perception of us.
All right, so last, we got 1 minute here to tell us what you're going to do over the next few months, and why do people should take a look at you?
I am going to be going around and talking to anyone who allows me to come and talk to them like you have today. And I'm going to be explaining to them why I feel that simply starting campaigns that are one person, one vote is going to be good. Creating that standard for our party is going to be good for our party, and creating that standard for our society is going to be good for that party. And I'll just be doing this till September. I'll be doing it longer if everybody says yes. If they say no, I did it. I went out, I did what I felt was I was morally obligated to do, to try and get people their power back and get them to change their society. And yeah, that's all I'm going to be doing.
Bill, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Mark.
You never know when lightning strikes.
You got to just get it in the bottle. I just got to get it in the bottle.
All right, take care, and thank you.